Welcome, subscribers, and welcome back, subscribers, and welcome, new viewers. This is going to be the very first Saturn reading I'm going to do, viewer request, and it's going to be Saturn in the 12th house or Pisces. Okay, so, and I want to thank each and every one of you who have liked and who do like and share and subscribe to my channel, because that helps to circulate all of these videos that each and every one out there just like you are searching for. So thank you. And if any of you would like a copy of any of my readings, send me an email. All of my information is in the drop down box below every single one of my videos. I always, all of the information. Okay. Saturn in Pisces and the 12th house. And this is from my, you know what, let me show you because this is brand new. My Saturn book. For those of you who are interested, Liz Green is the author. And it's A New Look at an Old Devil. The 12th house, as the last in the circle and lying hidden behind the ascendant or outward behavior, symbolizes both endings and beginnings. And this is where my Saturn is. Actually, it is in the 12th house in Pisces. So I have it doubly. It is the end because it represents the sacrifice which must ultimately be made of the conscious personality as a separation unit. From a more obtruse point of view, it represents the beginning, because it refers to those causes from the past which, operating from birth and below the level of consciousness, draw to us those situations which require that we lose ourselves and die to be reborn into group consciousness. So, basically, the 12th house, for those of you who do not know, is the natural house of Pisces, and it is the natural house of the subconscious. It's the subconscious, it's fantasies, it's fantasy, not dreams, but deceit, can mean deceit, secrets, because that's subconscious. And so anything, any planet, if you have your north or south node, if you have Chiron, whatever is in your 12th house, it's in your subconscious. You are not outwardly, consciously going to feel or know about it at all. So you will have to read. Someone will have to tell you. This is why this is very important for all of you, especially and anything in Pisces too. You could have that flavoring as well, even if it's in a different house. It won't be as completely subconscious, but it will have that flavoring. Absolutely, you will not know some parts of it. Okay. From water all life comes, says the Quran, and this house reflecting Pisces and Neptune, because Neptune is the natural planet of the 12th house and Pisces. The ancient god of the waters suggests that plane where life, undifferentiated and without individuality, first sprang, and where, wise with the lessons of individual consciousness, it must eventually return. And I would like to say too that any of you, or those of you who have Saturn in the 12th house, you're going to, in order to bring that energy out of that 12th house and out of, it's also in jail. That talks about confinements, or insane asylums is another, you might have heard of that before, being part of the 12th house. So you have to bring whatever that planet is that you have in the 12th house, whatever that energy, that information, you need to bring that out into your conscious awareness. So you need to research it consciously. And then you will eventually be able to use that energy. When it's being used properly, it will move on out through the 6th house, which is, you will do that through service, health. That's the 6th house. So those energies, when you're positively using them, that's how they will come out. Okay. This is often called the house of karma, based on the idea that planets found here are in some way denied normal expression and are often operating as unconscious rather than conscious drives, just like I was just speaking about. It is also called the house of self-undoing because isolation, incarceration, helplessness, and bondage are often the lot of the person with a heavily active 12th house, literal or symbolic. And it is his own actions which draw these conditions to him. That is absolutely correct. I know this for a fact because I have my Sun, Saturn, Chiron, Mars, all in Pisces in the 12th house. Also my Mercury, but my Mercury's in Aries, but all of those are in the 12th house. So I absolutely, on an experiential level, understand exactly what they're talking about. So if you have any questions, because you might have, any of you who have planets in the 12th house, you can ask me anything you like, and I will answer you. Okay. Whether a long past is considered or not, the inference is certainly present that the ego, built through the efforts of a previous 11 houses and signs, must eventually be laid on the altar of sacrifice so that the man may become a functioning part of a larger whole and give us his wisdom and energy for the good of the group. And again, I would like to say, it just came to me, any of you who have planets, or if you have a lot of planets in the 12th house, and you would like me to give you an interpretation, astrological, intuitive interpretation for you specifically, I would absolutely be happy to do that. And again, if you don't already know, I do not charge for any of my work. I do not believe in that. This information, if you are asking, this is invaluable information for you as a person so that you can continue forward becoming who your highest and best self. And for me to deny anyone information like this, that is just goes against everything about me. So, of course, I always am appreciative of donations. If you are able to do that and you see value in what I am, the work that I am doing, I always will appreciate that. You can send me an email, or maybe you have a service or a product you'd like to trade with me for my service. I would be happy to do that. And again, if you don't have any of that and you can't do any of that right now, please call upon me. I will absolutely assist you in whatever way I possibly can so that to further you on your path. You don't have to do anything other than ask. Okay? This is what I started this channel for, is to pass this information on, because it's not being done. Not being done. Not in this way. This is the way I see to do it. So hopefully all of you are getting something out of it. For the man who refuses to comprehend this, it is the house of hospitals and prisons. For only through the loss of individual power can a man realize that he himself is nothing without a link to the rest of life. This is always a difficult house, unless the path of service is pursued. Somehow the release of energy in this way alleviates much of the frustration and loneliness which accompanies 12th house planets and makes the required sacrifices bearable. Great pain often occurs through the 12th house, for the loss of the will after so much careful building is a great blow to the man who has come to identify himself with his personal desires. Yet loss of will is the price which all planets pay when found in this house, although the finding of real inner serenity is often gained in exchange. And that is absolutely true. Absolutely true. As the last sign of the watery trigon, Pisces symbolizes the completion and fulfillment of all emotional strivings. Unity, not with another person, but with life itself. This is the mystical marriage, and it is most difficult for the average man, centered in his personality, to deal with. There is no battle required, only acquiescence and devotion. It is almost impossible to make any sense of the 12th house from a purely mundane point of view, for even more than the 8th, this is a non-material house and pertains to matters which bring a man into closer touch with subjective reality. Any planet in the 12th is subject to the dissolving and transmuting influence which blocks the ordinary personal expression of the planet and forces its energies inward and upward. That which occurs here occurs in secret, like the gestation of a child. Only when the term is complete can this facet of the individual unfold like a newborn baby into external expression. And by then, it is changed. It is so beautiful, and yes, it is absolutely true. Again, I am living proof of that right here, right now. I'm so grateful. I'm so very grateful and thankful for all of you who are listening to me, passing on this information. This is not my information. This is the truth of who you are and who I am, having Saturn in the 12th house, or Pisces. Saturn in the 12th house, and to a lesser extent in Pisces, is difficult from the point of view of the personality, because the Saturnian energies, geared initially towards self-protection and defense against the environment, are rendered ineffectual. This may, in extreme situations, be through hospitalization or imprisonment for a period of time, and the man may learn through his own helplessness how ultimately impotent the personal will is against the forces of his own past, which he himself has set in motion. Yes, that is also true. The feeling that one is helpless and must submit to something larger and greater is frequent with displacement of Saturn, although it may occur on a very subjective level. This is a cadent house and refers to states of mind, and Saturn here often generates a vague fear that someone or something, a misty or generalized fate or destiny, is going to destroy him or control him. He may isolate himself and attempt to shield himself from contact with others at the same time that he is weighed down by an oppressive loneliness and sense of powerlessness. Again, all of this comes from that frequency that you were given at birth of Saturn coming into your 12th house or in Pisces. So there's no blame. You then, or we, just as I did too, called to ourselves certain experiences, Saturnian 12th house or Saturnian Piscean experiences. Okay. The sacrifice of one's material ambitions is often concurrent with a 12th house Saturn. And did I already read this? Let's see. And this is also, no, I didn't. The sacrifice of one's material ambitions is often concurrent with a 12th house Saturn. And this is also one of the commonest significators. Boy, I have a hard time with that word. Anyway, of the child who dedicates his life to the care of an ailing or helpless parent at the cost of his own development. This is often done not because it must be, there are always alternatives, but because there is an intense feeling of guilt, obligation, and an instinctual understanding that he must make some sacrifice or pay some debt. And for those of you that pertains to, it would be a Saturnian figure that you have placed as that authority figure in your life, whether it's your father, your grandfather, or in some cases it even could be your grandmother or your mother in some cases, or any other authority figure. And you could have more than one as well. It is also often a reflection of a fear of confronting external life and a sense of impotence in being able to handle practical affairs. Guilt looms large with displacement of Saturn, although it is generalized rather than specific guilt, and I definitely understand about that. Absolutely. Fear and guilt loomed large over most of my life, and I'm 55 years old right now. So, and I've been studying personally 26 to 30 years. It may cause, and I'm not fearful or guilty anymore, but I was for a long, most of my life, 3/4 of my life. It may cause a man to seek penance through solitude, or there may be religious penance in the literal sense resulting in the monk or nun. It may be apparently involuntary penance, as is the case with incarceration. But the man himself chooses this course. Again, yes, That is absolutely correct. Although he may not consciously believe, he will have to pay. It may result in sickness or withdrawal from conscious awareness through drugs, alcohol, or insanity. Or it may be much more subtle and less drastic, as in the case of a man who is always alone and always feels separation from the rest of humanity and the rest of life, no matter how many people he surrounds himself with. Typical Saturnian ambivalence occurs with a 12th house Saturn too. And there is both a compulsive fascination with and a great fear of losing one's identity and individuality. But whatever the specific mundane situation which is reflected, the individual is generally called upon at some point in his life to endure helplessness and aloneness and the sacrifice of his control. When this occurs on an inner level, the individual is frequently unable to communicate his feelings to others, which only increases his sense of isolation. He does not understand what it is that he's trying to protect himself against, any more than he understands the abyss which draws him with such fascination. This is what it is, what I'm reading right now. He only knows that he feels powerless and may overcompensate for this feeling by attempting to prove that he is totally master of his life. This may land him in hospital or in jail without his understanding the inner motives which have brought him there. Well, now you can start understanding. Now you can. Saturn is representative in his disguised and baser form as the most personal kind of power, that which a person seizes for self-protection through manipulation of his environment. It is man's defense mechanism which is necessary for a long time while the unfolding consciousness needs defending. However, when Saturn is found in Pisces or in the 12th house, the time has come for the scaffolding to be taken down, for the inner structure is nearly complete. Did you hear that? Wow. I want to read that one more time. When Saturn is found in Pisces or the 12th house, the time has come for the scaffolding to be taken down, for the inner structure is nearly complete. And the stripping this away is essentially like stripping off one's outer skin and exposing the raw and tender area beneath. Our true selves, our true selves. As opposite to the 6th house, the 12th disorganizes that which the 6th has put in order and offers chaos instead. This is not the chaos of sickness and madness, however. It only seems so to those who have built their conception of reality on a mundane base. Understanding the meaning of this position takes us beyond the field of orthodox psychology, which has certainly mastered the 4th house and some of the 8th, but is lost when confronting the mysteries of the 12th. Recognition of the urge for evolution, for meaning, for the spiritual side of life as a valid psychological drive in man is now becoming widespread, however, And when it is understood that this is perhaps the most basic and most important instinct in man, although an instinct of the psyche rather than of the body, then it will not be then it will not be such a painful experience for a man to sacrifice his personality to permit his total self-expression. That's beautiful. The real potential of Saturn in the 12th house is unfortunately only available now to those of a mystical bent who are inclined toward the path of inner contemplation. To them, it is the final sacrifice of the sense of separateness and is willingly undergone because it is the last door between man and his freedom. It depends in the end on one's perspective. Trying to hunt Saturn down through the mazes of the unconscious is difficult enough in the 8th house, where there are still some personality links. But the 12th is wholly the soul, and analysis does not help understanding unless it is backed by a knowledge of man's innately spiritual nature. The gold available for a 12th house Saturn is the power to serve, not to do good, which is not service at all, but to experience the sense of unity, which the mystic is forever seeking, and the sense of responsibility and detached love which accompanies this unity. This will, of course, make no sense to the earthly man and may offend more pragmatic astrologers. But the fact remains that the 12th house has not yet been satisfactorily explained any more than has the nature of man. It may be that as scientific evidence piles up, slowly but surely, in demonstration of the occult teachings of the past, the interrelationships of all living things and their essential underlying oneness will be a fact on the objective plane as well as a subjective experience on the part of the mystic. Saturn in the watery signs and houses is worthy of first place because it is in this area that he displays his greatest ambiguity and also his greatest emotional suffering. As man is only now beginning to learn how to think objectively as a group, and as the majority of people are still polarized in their feeling natures, Saturn in water is responsible for a great deal of loneliness and isolation, so apparent at the present time. That is true as well. We are not understood. We are not understood. It is of some help for the individual who has Saturn in a watery house or sign to recognize that his potential in terms of inner peace, understanding, and wisdom is as great as his potential for despair if he will only turn inward to the realm of the feelings and the unconscious. Yes. And with all of you, I am being called to say that connected with that, again, is each and every one of our personal work here on this earth, which, astrologically speaking, is our nodes of the moon. So any of you listening right now and you do not know your nodes of the moon, I cannot encourage you strong enough to contact me. I can do your wheel. I can tell you what your nodes are. If you have your natal wheel, your nodes, your south node looks like an upside down headphone. And right direct across from it, your north node is going to be an upright headphone. That is what it's going to look like. And you're going to have two parts to your nodes, your zodiac sign placement and your house placement sign. And you can look, for those of you that have can view your natal wheels and have them right now, and you're interested in this, and you haven't looked back in, I have several. I think I have done about 10 viewer requests for north and south nodes of the moon, and you can check out the house placement or the zodiac sign, because I've started separating them. At the very beginning, you'll see I put them together, and so that might be harder, and you're going to have to go back in months and months, but it'll say number 1 and all the way through number 10, and you'll have to read the titles because I don't have them memorized. But you can go back through those, or you can just ask me if you want to, and I will be able to tell you whether I've already done a past reading and tell you what number it is, and then you can look back if you like. And if I don't have them, I will do a general reading for you, and this will help all the others that viewers and subscribers who haven't listened to or know their nodes of the moon yet. So just leave me a comment, or better yet, send me an email. Okay, so that's all I have for you right now. Okay, until next time. Bye.